Okay, so I'm going to try and squeeze one in before I have family back around me here. Hope everyone is staying healthy, safe, and mentally sound as we're going into the depths here of multiple weeks in isolation. This video is on the concept of listening. So, as INTJs, we get a lot of feedback on being called terms such as like aggressive, direct, in your face, arrogant, unable to take other people's viewpoints, being a know-it-all. And I find it interesting because I'm not, by no means am I saying that that is not an element of the perception that comes across as INTJs, and that could be either ascribed to us because of what we've done to a person, or what they perceived we've done to a person, or how we've overtly done something to a person. But one thing I've noticed over the years, from the time I was very little, is comments about listening and how I am a good listener. And I've said before, even though I've always been interested in MBTI on varying degrees or levels, I didn't necessarily lump the listening side of things into an INTJ experience. So, love to hear what other people have to say. This is from what I've noticed. My 2 cents is for myself. I am a passionate listener. I love listening. And for someone that usually is like, okay, I want the details and let's go. When I'm listening to somebody, I've taken that time because I want to understand their perspective. So I want to know every detail. People make fun of me because it's like, I want to know every single thing that you're like, what happened? Why did it happen that way? How do you feel about that? And trying to pull little pieces together to make sense of what that person is, the entire experience of what that person is trying to relay to me. And also with listening, I usually have the tendency where I'll just sit and listen, and I rarely even nod, because I find those types of prompts can shut down another person in something that they're trying to get across, especially if it's something that is potentially a vulnerable topic. So I think that's a strength for us, because it's not only, it speaks to our interest in understanding a larger context of the world around us and how we can make sense of the dynamics that are in place even in social systems, because even though people, all of us, talk about how we are not great on the emotional side of things because we're not great at emoting, we have to translate sometimes through the thinking side to use literal words to describe how we are feeling. The listening component helps in that, because those two features come together really positively, because we potentially have it then that we are able to, if there is, depending on the dynamic of what the conversation is about, we can use that information to mirror back or discuss with that person what we've heard. And I mean, a lot of times in coaching classes, people are told to relay back with a question the things that were part of the conversation in order to show you're listening. But we, at least for myself, are interested and are listening, and it is a natural dynamic. And what happens with that is an unintentional rapport that people we may take for granted and we don't necessarily see in ourselves, but we should maybe look at that and see it as a positive for us, because it's something that a lot of people don't get in the real world. So as an INTJ female, working within the INTJ female dynamic stereotype, with regards to the larger societal female stereotype, it's almost something that becomes strange to the larger female population, because there's a tendency potentially to be more on the superficial side within those types of groups, and they're not really listening because they could be more thinking about, what their next comment is. Are they going to be witty? Do I have, is my hair okay? Or I should be thinking about what's that other person doing? Things that are not part of that conversation. With an INTJ female, we're coming in, if we're spending time with you and we're interested in building and understanding you, we definitely want to make sure that we are truly understanding as much as we can, and really coming at listening from a very generic, not generic, I would say we come at from a neutral standpoint. We want to understand without as much superimposed ideologies as possible. So we want to really get to understand the larger thing, because we love layers. We love context within context. We love, at least for myself, love to be proven wrong. My favorite is I've had one of my friends who would be the poster child for, if you want to have a stereotype of a typical female. And what I found with her was, once we actually had a chance to get to know each other a little bit better, there were a lot of interesting facets to her that she was not necessarily wanting to expose to the larger group of females, because she was worried about feeling weird or different. And maybe that's a powerful tool for us, that we don't have those preconceived notions, or we actually prefer to have the edge or something different. So love to hear other people's thoughts on the listening side of things. I think we don't give ourselves a lot of credit on a lot of stuff, or we feel we have to defend certain traits in ourselves because they are not the status quo. So when you get a chance to actually take a step back and say, oh, wow, yeah, people have mentioned that to me, or you've noticed in certain moments when you've felt that ability to have a person feel heard and connected, and be a source of support for them just by using that listening tool, that's a gift, and something that you should not only feel affinity towards, but also see it as an opportunity to explore where you can use it for the larger goals for yourself, as well as how it works with others around you. So anyways, thanks so much. As always, video requests, please leave in the comment section. Thanks.